Should I break it to you that I Want You Back is by the Jackson 5?
Drinking and thinking, occasionally tinkling. Let's talk some science. That pickle juice just makes everything better.
That is so weird.
I like how the smoothest part of that is the pickle juice going down.
That is so weird. I've never done that before.
This is now my third time, considering I lost trivia last time.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Eric. I'm the author of thephysicsbehind.com.
And I'm David. I'm a working engineer.
Yes, we're here tonight at Lito's Tavern.
Lito's.
Up in near campus down in Columbus.
Like
Near the House
between
State.
Clintonville and campus.
Yeah, by House State University. What do you got there?
I've got Atwater Brewery's Vanilla Java Porter. I'm a fan of vanilla porters in most varieties. This one's a little more watered down than I'm used to, but still very enjoyable.
Have you heard Breckenridge Vanilla Porter?
Probably. It's one of the popular ones that bars around here serve, isn't it?
Absolutely hate it. I don't know what it is. It's like, to me, it's like sludgy and too sweet. I don't really
I
like
kind
them.
of like the combination of sweet and dark that vanilla porters have.
I can see what that with like a sweet and salty sort of thing. I can see where that would be appealing, but I don't know. They just didn't get the execution right. I guess.
I also like chocolate-covered pretzels. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know.
like chocolate pretzels. Yeah.
What are you drinking?
This is a Rheingeist Truth IPA. It's Rheingeist is from Cincinnati. They've been coming up here lately. It's really good stuff. I don't think I've been disappointed about any of their beers lately. So pretty good. And then that shot that we just took, it's called a pickleback.
Yeah.
It's a whiskey followed by a pickled juice chaser. That's the first one I've ever done. It is weird, but it is good.
I've heard they also use it for strong vodkas as a chaser.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ours was Jameson.
Yep.
So
Classic.
yeah.
Which is...
Did we ever mention that this is a podcast
No, we
called
didn't.
Gin and Jargon?
We skipped that step. Let's try that again.
Yes. Welcome to Gin and Jargon, the podcast where discovery and inebriation go hand in hand.
We've got two goals tonight. One is to learn something. The second is to get drunk.
Woo! Ding, 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 ding. All right.
And we'll drink that.
What's in the news this week?
Well, the Wendelstein 7X was fired up today. It is the 10th, yes. But the Wendelstein 7X is the next generation of stellarator reactors. So it's a fusion reactor that is, in its first run today, fused helium at, 1 million degrees Celsius, but they need to get it up to 100 million to fuse hydrogen. And they're trying, what they've done with this design is they've made sort of a curved toroidal shape.
Toroidal basically means like a donut shaped.
Yeah, like donut shape, and then they twist it. And it's supposed to be the most efficient way for the magnets to contain this much heat, because that much heat would liquefy any solid material on the planet.
Now the magnets don't really contain the heat so much as they contain the
particles that are fusing
medium,
together.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. It didn't blow
So
up.
it kind of looks
That's
like a twisted ring donut.
good. Yep.
Sort of. I saw a diagram of it.
yeah.
It's a really like, maybe if you like were making donuts and you messed up real bad, that's what you would end up with. I've got a bit of something. I just read an article last week. It's totally not related to what we're talking about today, really, but I just thought it was interesting. So North Face, the company that everybody loves to hate or something.
Loves to hate. They've got some cool designs.
If you're a sorority girl or in college in general, you probably have some North Face.
Well, it's also useful for outdoor activities. I own some North Face stuff, so continue.
Okay. I'm more of like a Columbia, Patagonia kind of guy.
Okay, fair.
But anyway,
fair.
so North Face, the clothing manufacturer, and a Japanese company called Spiber got together to create what they call the Moon Parka.
Is that a portmanteau of cyber and spider?
No, it's a portmanteau of spider and fiber, I think.
Oh, okay.
Spiber. So S-P-I-B-E-R. And it's interesting because this jacket is made of synthetic spider silk. So spider silk is really interesting. It's lighter than most fabrics, but it's like really, really super strong. It's like stronger than Kevlar per weight. And it has a bunch of other fabulous
It's really sticky.
traits and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. But it's real hard to manufacture. Like, you can use real spider silk, but that involves getting like a whole bunch of spiders
And
and
harvesting
it, which is really disturbing.
You want to get your fingers near that?
Yeah, that would just be weird. In the past, they've done it by injecting like spider DNA into other animals to produce it,
Oh.
like aphids and the goats and stuff like that, to milk. Like, instead of lactating regular milk, they lactate spider silk.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's some
Oh, that
Futurama weirdo
poor
shit,
fucking
right?
goat.
Yeah. And so that's how they used to do it. This company found a way to do it with a bacteria that produces the spider silk, and they harvest it from there. Apparently, they have enough to make this really, really cool moon parka. Apparently, the fabric is sort of like this. It's sort of luminous. Like, it's got this interesting way of reflecting light. It makes it look. That's what they call it, the moon parka. It kind of looks like the moon. It's just kind of glowing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is really, really cool. I just thought it was really interesting.
That is a cool idea.
Yeah.
I hope that it becomes very cheap and very practical.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really great for things like
A Spider-Man onesie. You said
that.
stronger than Kevlar per weight, so like a bulletproof Spider-Man suit. Oh, how cool
Maybe.
would that be?
Good luck.
And since it sticks, since you could get spider silk to stick to you, maybe it'll stick perfectly to your skin. You know, form your muscles just right, get the bulge. That would
you gotta
be
get the bulge.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that'd be the
Maybe
perfect
too much
Spider-Man
detail.
onesie.
Maybe too much detail. From that. Good luck stopping a bullet with one layer of Kevlar.
But it's not.
can-
It's spider silk.
Try that and get back to me on that one. Yeah.
We'll do.
I read another really cool one, kind of related to what we were talking about. That scientists have found a new phase of carbon.
Oh, Q carbon.
It's called Q carbon, and they got it by taking amorphous carbon, which is carbon that doesn't really have a structure. It's not graphite. It's not diamond. There's some of it in there, but mostly it's just kind of blobs of carbon. And in classic science moves, they shot a whole bunch of lasers at it, and they created a new solid phase for carbon, and it's called Q carbon. The material is harder than diamond is. If you apply a magnetic field to it, it glows, which is really weird. And even weirder is if you apply an electric field to it, you can magnetize it. Like a scrap of iron.
Now, did I hear right? It's stabler than diamond?
Harder
Than diamond. Okay.
I don't know about stabler.
Yeah. Because I mean, if it doesn't stay in that state for long, I don't know what good it's going to be. Yeah, harder than diamond. Wow.
And the process is done at room temperature. So you don't need like the intense heat and pressure you need to make diamonds.
Well, don't the lasers create like really high temperature right at the point of contact?
Yes, they do, but I mean, like, it's just,
Just right there.
in a lab. You can do it in a lab, is basically what I'm saying. And they can
Very
actually,
cool.
you can use the same process to create diamonds by adjusting the way that it cools. So
Yeah.
you can make diamonds that way too. So pretty cool. What was
Very
our
nice.
major
So,
news topic here?
big thing in the news for the past week at least, the
Yeah.
Paris climate change talks. They're trying to reduce global emissions because, as everyone knows, things are getting warmer. And at least
And
we're
Penny is
pumping
getting
a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. It's a byproduct of all of our processes to create energy, which we need to survive as a global civilization. So these talks, which have failed
Time and time yeah.
again, they're giving it another go around, and hopefully we can come to a consensus because the evidence has never been stronger that global climate change is going to be a huge problem, not only in our future but in our children's future as well.
Yeah, they're changing their approach. Like the past conferences, which failed because they kind of set a standard that not everybody could meet. Now they're kind of coming at it from a different way, where they say each country is going to have its own capabilities and kind of budget and goals and stuff like that. So everybody, they're basically just saying like, all right, do whatever
Everybody
you can to do your best.
does what you can,
Yeah.
There were even propositions in the meeting that richer countries should foot the bill for poorer countries to reduce their emissions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure no one's going to go for that. But
We're all in this
we'll see
together. I
where it
mean, even
goes.
Saudi Arabia is like agreeing. They usually don't
yeah.
jive well.
Yeah, something about
suppose.
more recent news with them promoting ISIS groups.
Things like that, or funding them.
Oops.
And then the other big opponent, not opponent, I would say, but sort of people that are a little wary is China, who right now is the largest contributor to
Yes.
to emissions. Because they've just industrialized so quickly and it's getting way out of control.
Yeah, and what they bypassed from that industrialization was safety and quality standards.
I mean, it's essentially
they finally went to in China. They finally went to their highest alert for the first time recently for smog levels and atmosphere pollution.
They're basically like London, or not London. I was like England, early 1900s, but with the capability of expanding at a modern, implementing their technology in a modern way. It was real bad in industrial revolution England, but they can only do so much so fast. Now with the technology that we have, they can just pump forward. And their economy, their middle class is exploding right now.
Yeah.
And that's why we had those problems with, Chinese tourists were a huge problem for a lot of people because they just didn't know how to act, especially in other countries with all their newfound wealth. And so, and that's it's all tied together. So, while their economy is booming, so is their contribution to global emissions. And so, these climate talks are basically just to get everybody to kind of simmer down a little bit.
Yeah, because the problem is if we can't stop this sort of emission, the fact that we're being so successful will be the greatest contributor to our civilized downfall.
Yeah.
If Chinese cities have to shut down in order to produce, then what are we gaining? Really nothing. So we need to come up with better ways to produce enough energy for the world to be a stable global economy and yet also be livable.
Yeah, I actually took away this one quote that I really liked, and I think it was Obama who said it. And I don't know exactly who he was talking to or where he was, but he was saying, a lot of the people over there, especially at the climate talks, especially European nations, are all talking about climate change. But one thing they're not talking about is whether or not climate change is real and whether or not it's being caused by humans. They're over that.
Yeah.
And we're still squabbling.
Finally.
Yeah, we're still squabbling with that here, which is just dumb.
Yeah.
They're already talking about problem solving and solutions, and we're over here fighting over whether or not it's our fault.
Yeah.
But
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And
on that note, you mentioned Obama. What did Barack say to Michelle when he proposed?
I don't know, what'd he say?
I don't want to be Obama's self. I love it. Okay, we can get back to the topic.
So another question that people are asking, what's different this time and why is it so important this time? And have you heard about the 2-degree thing?
Yes, the 2-degree temperature change.
Yeah. Basically, the climate scientists, I don't know what they call them, climate change experts, I guess.
Which, you say climate change experts, but they're really a collection from multiple disciplines. You've got geophysicists who know where to look for the data that you're getting, tapping ice cores to look for ancient atmospheric composition. You've got chemists who know how to deconstruct that composition. It really is this unified effort from scientists all across the board who are working on this one topic, which is climate science.
Yeah, they have said that if the global average temperature goes above 2 degrees Celsius, then we're starting to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And we're very close to that. Have we hit that yet? I think we've almost hit it.
I think we're almost hit it, and we're targeted to get over it by 2050. And the problem is we're also targeted to double our global carbon emissions by 2050.
Bit of an issue. So they say this year is really kind of our last chance to turn things around. So that's why people are getting together and really talking about it. And I hope it goes well. That's really the most I can do.
I'd love to live in a stable world.
That'd be great.
We're talking about finding ways to eliminate carbon emissions. One of them is getting more green energy, and that is renewable energy like wind, solar, hydroelectric, that sort of thing. The problem with that is none of those are very stable, and none of those provide nearly enough energy to power our daily needs. Even if you were to go nuclear, which has a very low amount of carbon emission per energy
George
produced.
Bush. Nuclear.
What did I say?
Nuclear.
Nuclear, right? Okay. Nuclear.
Whatever.
So nuclear energy is actually the cleanest of the common form of energies we've got right now. And the problem is that none of those, even nuclear, aren't stable enough to provide the energy we need day and night, year-round. So that's why there's been all this study into energy storage in the past couple of years. We need better batteries, we need bigger batteries, so we can store the power from, say, solar cells that work great during the day, but at night they're useless. Or that work great in the summer, but in the winter they're useless. So that's why we're still so reliant on these burning of fossil fuels like coal, gas, oil.
Because it's reliable.
It is. It's reliable. You can meet demand however you want. If you don't need more, stop burning for a bit. If you need more, burn a little more. It's that easy. And so until we get that storage capability up, we're not going to be able to reduce the amount of fossil fuels that we're burning.
Yeah.
So that's why when we think about carbon emission, there is no simple answer. We can't just eliminate fossil fuels. We can't just go to renewable energy. We've still got to use fossil fuels for now.
For now, yeah. Until we have the technology to find something that's way more reliable.
Which is why we're really focused on carbon sequestration.
Yes.
That's a big topic for today.
Bingo.
Now, sequestration is a fancy word for carbon reclamation. And reclamation is a fancy word for taking carbon back.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we burn fossil fuels, we're releasing a shit ton of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And what we need to do is capture that and store it somewhere that's not the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. From your 10th grade biology classes, you might know that plants do that for us to a great extent. So like the more trees there are, they're taking carbon from the atmosphere, turning it into oxygen, and that's the way the Earth has regulated itself for millennia.
Right.
And there have been
Among
ups
other
and downs.
processes.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways that we can actually stop or slow down the amount of carbon dioxide getting released into the atmosphere is using these natural ways, like peat bogs, increasing your wetland area, planting more trees. It's as simple as that, but that takes up a lot of space. We could have large phytoplankton blooms in the ocean that take that carbon dioxide, and that's actually one of the top ways that they're trying to find to store carbon, is finding these water-based plant life that will absorb the carbon, and then when they die, they go to the ocean floor, and they stay there for a long time. It's a great place to store the carbon until a later
bottom
date.
Of the ocean.
Yeah. There are other ways besides biological that we're trying to store carbon, and you can jump in.
We should mention it. I mean, the reason that's important, getting CO2 out of the atmosphere, is because CO2
that's right.
It's a greenhouse gas, and what that basically means, if you skipped every single one of your middle school science classes, that when you introduce these gases into the atmosphere, they have an effect of trapping the heat that comes to Earth from the sun on the Earth or within the atmosphere. So that doesn't escape as easily. They call it a greenhouse gas because it's pretty much what a greenhouse does.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important for us to at least reduce the amount that we're contributing to the greenhouse effect, and I mean, if possible, to eliminate that greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
Obviously, to a point.
Right.
We don't want to start the plot of Snowpiercer or whatever. But then we have the other forms of containing carbon.
Well, do you want to take a potty break and then get back to that? Do trivia?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Potty break.
We're back.
So we're back after that tangent. And we took a break so we can get some drinks and do some trivia.
Trivia. We should have a little sound for trivia, like da-da-da-da. Trivia.
I think it should be the Activia thing. The Actrivia. I don't know. Or get Jamie Lee Curtis in here to endorse it.
Man, I don't see enough commercials to know what the activity is sound
What?
is.
God damn you! Anyway, it's
Okay.
trivia time. So, who's going first? Rock paper scissors.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
I
wasn't sure.
I wasn't either. Anyway,
Winner's choice.
so we're talking about carbon sequestration. I forget what the secondary level this related to was on, but in the Star Wars universe,
Okay.
Han Solo is frozen in solid carbonite. Now, he was displayed on Jabba the Hutt's wall for a while. You know, Darth Vader thought he could just freeze Luke in carbonite and solve his problems. But before then, in the Star Wars universe, what was carbonite used for?
Oh my god. Okay, so it was the chamber that they used to freeze Han Solo is on Cloud City in Bespin, and I know that Bespin, the Cloud City, is a gas farming, like a gas collection
Okay.
thing. It's like a mine. It's a gas mine.
Yeah.
So did they use carbonite to freeze gas for transportation?
They did not.
Shit.
They used carbonite before the hyperspace hyperdrive was invented for people to last through space travel.
I did not know that.
They also used it later to preserve goods.
Okay.
It's like biodegradable goods.
Where does this come from in canon?
The books, I assume.
Well, the books
Because
are out of canon now, so you're wrong.
What? It was on Wikipedia. It has to be right.
Yeah, no. They scrubbed the books.
Man,
Yeah.
who scrubbed the books?
Just
And whose books? I mean, there are so many different books out there.
everybody. Nothing is canon now except the movies, obviously. The Clone Wars cartoon, the 3D animated one,
Yeah.
and the Rebels cartoon.
Okay. I haven't seen any of the cartoons.
Oh, it's good. Clone Wars one is pretty good. I haven't seen the Rebels one. The Clone Wars one is good. Yeah, and then the Clone Wars movie. That's all canon. All the books are not.
I gotcha.
They've been scrubbed from
So
canon.
did Disney change any of the canon at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was just like with the advent of a new Star Wars, they realized like all these storylines that people had written into
Right.
conflict, so they're like, all right, guys, it's done.
So
But that's cool.
That's that.
I don't know why
And-
you thought that was easy.
Well, because I mean, freezing things in almost every sci-fi movie or novel where you
guess,
read
like
where we need to
Cryo
travel
Sleep or
from one place to another, people are frozen to get there, and they wake up. And we were talking earlier about Interstellar. How did they survive the trip from
Yeah,
Earth
they
to
went into
Saturn?
sleep, right,
They were just
right.
went into a hypersleep. Yeah.
Well, I gotta take this now.
Okay.
So
well,
this
I'll
is-
try not to intentionally fail yours, but I really want to try this shot.
This recommendation from the bartender is called the green tea shot. It's Jameson, sour lemonade, and what was the other one? Peach schnapps.
Peach schnapps.
She said people liked it a lot and it was
Well,
really
no,
good. so.
save it in case I need to take one too. So just
Okay,
ask
all
me
right,
your
all right,
question.
all right, all right.
Rather
Okay,
drink
so
socially.
people know like most of the ways that carbon is introduced to the atmosphere, like you know, burning fossil fuels, cars, obviously. Burning fossil fuels, they're contributing a lot. Like transportation contributes a lot. Lots
Yeah.
of industries do, but one of the major contributors to greenhouse gases is actually agriculture.
Yeah.
And there is one single, like, sort of not point source, but like there's one source of greenhouse gases stemming from agriculture.
Yeah.
What is that one single source?
Cow poop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cow farts, really.
Cow farts?
Yeah. Methane.
cow, I don't know, cow butt emissions? I don't know.
Cow butt
Is it-
emissions,
Yeah.
yes. It is actually a real problem.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So it is a significant portion of carbon emissions.
This is my least favorite Christmas song.
It's
the worst one.
it's so basic.
It's so bad.
Like, Little Drummer Boy as a song, you're a basic bitch. That's all you are. Bum 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 dun dun dun.
There's nothing new
dun,
about it.
dun,
It's the
dun,
same exact line.
Dun,
It infuriates me how bad
and
it
you know
is.
what?
And there's like a million covers of it. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. And you know what? Even it's like slightly more secular than all the like original Christmas music, the original Christmas carols. But even then, like, it still ruins religious canon. There was no little drummer boy. What the hell are you talking about? This is okay. Let's introduce new characters to the nativity scene. There was Bippy the Clown, who Jesus didn't like because he didn't laugh at him, which is why he's eliminated from most common stories.
RoboCop 9, The Birth of Christ.
He traveled back in time to save the boy from would-be assassins.
No. He traveled back in time to save Detroit. That's what RoboCop does.
What
That's
was
all
happening in Detroit in like time zero? The year
I don't
zero.
know. Probably some woolly mammoths or something. You know.
Shit.
Anyway, so I gotta take both of these motherfuckers.
Damn it.
You may take a sip if you like.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to. I'd love to try it. Oh, that is enjoyable.
That's good?
Oh, that's good.
Good.
That's really good.
These are freaking massive. That is really good, though.
That's because they're enjoyable. I bet you, like, the alcohol only goes to a third of that thing. Oh, yeah. Good thing I'm driving, huh?
That tastes like an American's idea of what green tea tastes like.
Oh,
This is like,
what's your idea of what green tea should taste like?
like real green tea?
What does real green tea taste like? I'm only familiar with Arizona tea.
Oh, no, man. How could you?
I have to admit, I really like the Americanized versions of most of Eastern food, like General Tso's chicken. It's just the best.
I do like General's chicken, but like,
Like-
how could you deny saucy fried chicken? You know?
It's alright, but I mean, fusion restaurants have it right. They add a little bit of animal fat in there to the spice, and it's just,
Well, fusion restaurants are like Italian and Asian.
Italian? I thought they were just like American and Asian.
No, that's just bastardized Chinese food, really.
Yeah, that's what I'm into.
I mean, I won't deny that every now and then I do get the. So, my parents are Taiwanese, and they were restaurateurs for a really, really long time. They're retired now, but they were restaurateurs for a really long time.
And they were damn good at it.
Professional cooks. And so, aside from just being really, really good cooks, they also had like their extensive knowledge of like real Chinese and Taiwanese food. That shit is fucking delicious. But I will admit that every now and then I do feel like eating shitty Chinese food. Like the cheapo stuff that you can get in huge portion for like $8 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's delicious.
Every once in
Yes,
a while, I
I
have
know.
to go to an Asian buffet, like Asian Star up by where you and I are.
Yeah, yeah.
Or there's another one that's opened in the past couple years down in Hilliard, Supreme Buffet.
Okay.
They actually have like whole shellfish there. It's so good.
So we're talking about geoengineering.
So I don't know if I mentioned this already, but geoengineering is taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it in a way that's not natural. So it's us taking an active effort in removing CO2 from the atmosphere, whether that's by taking CO2 that's already in the atmosphere and extracting it, or by simply capturing it after it comes out of burning these other fossil fuels. And that one's by far easier, capturing it, and already in use by a lot of places, especially, and it can be very effective. So what we need to do is, in America alone, we're producing around 5.3 billion megatons of carbon dioxide per year.
It's crazy they would say billion and then attach a metric prefix to it.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
You know, I might be
It's not just
misquoting that. Maybe it's
billion
just
tons.
billion tons, but we're prepared to double that in the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is we need to offset that production by reclamation, by sequestration, by taking it back out of the atmosphere.
Right.
And what climate scientists have said is that up to 50% of that can be prevented simply by these geomechanical ways, by capturing it as it's burned. Norway is a great example of what's been going on. What they've been doing is they've been capturing the CO2 as it's being produced, liquefying it and pumping it underground, and they've managed to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions by 97%
That's crazy.
since 1990. That's amazing. If every country in the world could do that, we'd be well on our way to having a successful resolution of this problem.
Chipmunks. That's such a weird, random thing to say, but it's... I don't know if you can hear it right now, but... Frosty the Snowman by Alvin and the Chipmunks. So bad. Stop! That should be your one-liner. You singing and me going, stop!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The Chipmunks are the worst. Why do people enjoy this stuff?
I don't know.
Anyway. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways of doing that. Either way you capture, you'll get some amount of CO2 that you have.
Yeah.
There are a couple of ideas. Sometimes people are like, pack it up and sink it to the bottom of the ocean, which I love. Which is like, that's like the most, I mean, pretty much anything geoengineering as far as CO2 storage goes is to me like the most sweep it under the rug sort of solution ever.
Oh,
like,
that's exactly it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, let's just pump it underground. Let's just sink it to the bottom of the ocean. Or like you were talking about Australia earlier. You want something tell people what they did?
Yeah, so whereas other countries are pumping it underground to store it in what used to be oil reservoirs, Australia is literally capturing it in tanks and tanking it out to the outback and just digging a hole. It's so funny. And they advertise this.
Thank you. We were saying like that's the most like Borderlands like. Thank you. We're just like, yeah, just pack it up and put it in some tanks and just throw it out in the fucking desert. It'll be fine that way. I mean, we do that for a lot of things. There's a mountain, I do not remember what it's called, there's a mountain out west where all of our nuclear waste goes. They don't know what to do with it, so they just bury that shit in a mountain.
I'm glad they didn't do it underneath a school this time.
Yeah. When did that happen?
Not in America.
Oh. Was it Australia?
That'll be bonus content. And no, it wasn't Australia.
They didn't make two mistakes in a row. Yeah. No, so there's a mountain out west where they just bury all of our nuclear waste under a mountain. Here's a really, really cool little side note. They wanted to make sure that people don't accidentally uncover this shit, right? But they're afraid that our civilization might not last long enough for this stuff to go away. Because radiation has it
lasts a long ass time.
But it decays. Eventually it'll become not radioactive. But the half time is like 10,000 years or something crazy like that. So it's like 20,000, 100,000 years before it's all gone. Obviously there's worry that our civilization won't last long enough to tell people to warn people away from it. So they have something called, oh my god, it's like the priesthood of something. And it's this idea that they should come up with a way to warn people away from this area without using like English.
So like religious tradition in order to avoid this area.
Yes.
Oh, that is cool.
Make a priesthood or some sort of religious tradition.
That's very video game-ish. You know, like imagine Skyrim.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The Order of the Dragon that's just carries on that tradition for years and years and years and years.
So like create a rumor or something that is dangerous because it is, or some sort of religious tradition, or they even thought about genetically engineering glow-in-the-dark cats or something like that.
In that area?
To make it clear that something's wrong here. You know, or putting up signs with like human skulls on them and things like that. Recognizable things. It's fascinating.
That's creepy as hell, but awesome.
Fascinating, yeah. That's how they're gonna keep people away from that mountain where they just store all that shit. I think we're gonna get to a point at some point where it's gonna be cheap enough and easy enough to just shoot shit into space.
Base.
Well, the bigger problem, I feel like it would be safer with CO2. But the big problem is like, all right, so here's an idea, right? Let's just pack up all our radioactive shit. We'll put it on a rocket. We'll send it out to the middle of nowhere in space. Great idea. Except, what if that rocket blows up in orbit?
Oh, shit.
Right.
Oh, goddamn.
Like we fail, and now we've just spread radioactive material all over the Earth.
Who needs thermonuclear war when you can just have a garbage accident?
Yeah. But, I mean, if that happened, if a rocket blew up with like a payload of CO2,
Yeah. CO2, we're already suffering that problem. So we've been talking about these...
Take 4.
So we've been talking about geoengineering ways of storing carbon.
Yeah.
And while it costs more for a plant to operate, you know, they have to expend the energy and funds necessary to capture the carbon and then pump it underground. They can actually capture 90% of the carbon they produce. And Norway's a great example of this. It can cost 25 to 40% more to operate the plant, but the fact that they can capture so much of the carbon is phenomenal. And you know, hint, they can even use some of that captured carbon to make oil wells more productive.
Okay.
But what they do is they'll pump all this carbon underground, and they'll pump it at such a pressure that the carbon dioxide turns to liquid, and is pumped down into a sandstone layer under the earth. And sandstone it's really porous, and so it can hold gases and liquids really easily. And the way the Earth's crust is formed, there's typically a capstone layer on top of the sandstone that holds all of that stuff in the sandstone so it doesn't just rise to the top and get back into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's how oils and natural gases have been held underground for all these years until we just found them. So what just now. I mean, relatively since 1850. Relatively just now we just found them.
True.
So what we're doing is really we're taking this carbon dioxide and pumping it back down to where we got the fossil fuels to begin with, so that's where we're gonna store it all, is down there, where it will eventually and hopefully go through some chemical reactions combined with some other minerals down there to turn into a solid like calcium carbonate or something, so that it will stay down there and not give us any more problems. So carbon sequestration, it's a greenhouse gas. We need to grab it back from the atmosphere so that we don't increase the temperature of the world too much and kill ourselves.
It's a double-sided coin. We need to make less carbon in the first place.
Yeah.
And to take back the carbon that we've already gone too far in making.
Yeah, and that we will continue to make inevitably because of our energy demands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which are too damn high.
Too damn high, and they're only going to get higher.
Yeah, it's really getting bad. So, whipping into shape, world leaders. I mean, climate change, by the time this gets published, it'll be long over, but it's like a 2-week conference in Paris, and I think it started about last week, so they should be finishing up here soon.
And I think they've extended the talks too, so it'll take another couple days.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully something really good comes out of it. People just need to start talking.
Or at least
people need to start listening to the science. I think that's a general theme for me and you and our podcast in general. But
people need to look at the evidence and yeah.
All right. We have anything else?
That's it for me.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks for listening to Jen and Jargon. If you like what you hear and see, subscribe on YouTube and on iTunes. We're all over social media. I think we got a Facebook and a Twitter
and Instagram. And we've also got a Reddit account. Upvote there.
I don't know what we're gonna do. If you see us looking around, I guess say hi.
Yeah,
that's the most we can ask. That's the most we can ask out of Reddit, really. Special thanks to our buddy Casey Payne for editing our video and our audio. What? And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Cheers.
Cheers. That was the sound of an empty can.
Don't tell them.
Should I break it to you that I Want You Back is by the Jackson 5?